Let's talk a little bit about social plugins for WordPress.
Good topic, man. Just yesterday, I'm working on a site and trying to fix my dig toolbar. Here's what I found out. I go to my sites that's got the dig toolbar and the floating thing on the left or the right.
So it hangs down. That's a list of website is.
Right, list of the buttons. Great idea. I love it. I've been putting it on everything, but I go to check my site on my iPad. Actually, it's having hosting problems and making sure the site was there. So I've been doing a lot of, it's 10 p.m. I haven't seen any of my sites lately. Let's see if they're all up. And I notice I can't see the numbers on the dig toolbar. They floated off the screen, and I try turning it around and resizing and everything, and they're stuck there. So I started messing with putting buttons at the top and bottom again. I don't like it near as much as the floating ones. And in talking to another friend about it, he said that I had so many buttons on there, I was linking juice off of my site with too many outbound links. Now, I believe a lot of those things are put in iframes so that they don't count as outbound links. But boy, I'm stuck. I've been back to the websites and such on Dig, talking to them, put a tweet out to them asking them about it, and they didn't have something. Then I believe I was talking to you last week, and I decided to go check all this. I have one site that's getting 40% mobile traffic. So where do you find a good, responsive social toolbar that'll work with all the iPads and phones and everything that people are coming to?
That's a good question. The key there is responsive, or depending on your perspective, maybe adaptive. So in general, responsive means when you're viewing something on your computer or on your iPad or something like that, no matter what size it is, your website will automatically resize to fit whatever device you're on, as opposed to, kind of the web 2.0. We're not quite to web 3.0, or whatever it's going to be called next. But under the old model, you'd do one design for a computer, and you do another design for a mobile phone. This is kind of just before the smartphone era really took hold, because some phones before the smartphone era couldn't view a full website. And today, a lot of smartphones can, and so we do a lot of this pinching stuff. So we're expanding or just to drill into our iPhone or Android or something like that. But if you've got a responsive design site, it saves you from having to pinch and zoom all that. It just automatically resizes to something that works and looks nice for that particular size. So you have to have social widgets, of course, for sharing that stuff, because if they're on their phone, they're more than likely going to kick it off to their preferred social network, Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is. Now, Dig typically sits outside of your website. So if you've got your website, Dig would float a bar just to one side or the other of it. And when you're on a mobile device, on an iPad or an iPhone, it's going to take your whole website and it's going to stick it in that full frame for the iPad. And so that floating bar might not show up depending on where your settings are. You can squeeze it a little bit, but you might lose it. I use Sexy Bookmarks quite a bit. That's a social plugin. I've been using that for several years now. There's some things about it that are a little old-fashioned, but it's supported well, and it is responsive. So that's one positive. Another thing that I do with a number of my sites is I use a plugin called Social Widgets. This plugin basically allows you to take your social buttons and put them as a widget in your site. So if you have a widgetized area in like the header of your site, for example, you could add the social widgets up there. Typically, those are going to be your personal social widgets, how to contact Warren on Facebook, how to contact Warren on Twitter, as opposed to the sharing buttons for a particular article. So you always have to kind of determine which way you're going that way. I also, with StudioPress, a theme framework that I use quite a bit, the Genesis framework, there's a plugin that allows you to put widgets within your menu system, so you can build them right into your menu. So if you happen to get a responsive theme with responsive menu system, which with a responsive menu system, the menu normally goes across on your browser, but when you go to a mobile phone like an iPhone, most often they wrap down and it becomes a vertical menu going down. So that's something else where you can save those buttons and keep people kind of in there with sexy bookmarks, and you can put links at the top of your article and at the bottom of your article, and you can add a few different settings on how they display or where they display, or you can hard code them in as well. So a couple different answers. I've seen a number of different ways that people deploy them. One way that I haven't worked with yet myself, but I've been seeing it recently, I'm talking the last 2 or 3 weeks, I like a lot. People are starting to put their social buttons just below the main image in their articles. So you might have your featured image, then you've got your social sharing buttons right below it, and then it goes into your article. So that's something I kind of like, because it's kind of like this Pinterest feel to it. You know, it shows you the image, the main topic, and it's got the buttons to share right below. I kind of like that, just from the, tracking where somebody's finger's going to go as opposed to their mouse cursor. Actually, let me do that in reverse. In the old days, they used to say that the cursor movement tended to go from the top left of your screen down into to the right. These days, though, when we're talking about a smartphone, it's about where's your finger going to be on that phone. So not so much tracking cursor movements, but what you're going to be pointing at, and that tends to be more linear and down than it is across so much. So if you've got your social buttons right below the image, they're probably going to push one or the other, and that might get them engaged a little bit more, I think. So,
right. Well, and also means that it's going to be more to the right than the left, because we read from left to right, but most of us are right-handed. So you got that to contend with. I think the big issue here is making your content shareable is quite important. But as someone that does a lot of that, I'm constantly going to sites that seem to be designed to keep me from sharing anything, especially like, old media sites or things that have apps built in so I can read it, a couple of trade magazines, and you can log in with Twitter and push a Twitter button, but it won't let you edit the tweet.
Yeah.
Another thing is those buttons where we see, the ones you were talking about, the follow this person or not. I think we got to get to where those are better labeled. I think still a lot of your readers are coming and saying, like, I'm not really sure what to do. So telling them to share it is not a bad thing. So, yeah. and in conclusion,
poison for that
if you like this video, please share it.
Yeah. No, I think too, people are getting confused by all the social choices. And I think, right. I haven't seen this done yet, but I've been thinking about how we could display these social buttons in a alternate kind of way. For example, when you have ads displayed on a website, you don't necessarily show, if you've got 20 different ads in rotation, you show one ad at a time. You don't show 20 ads all at once. Well, with social, all the social networks, we tend to show all of our buttons at once, or at least our top 3 or 4 or 5. 3 or 4 or 5 is still too many options for your average reader. They may prefer Facebook over Twitter, or Twitter over Facebook, or Pinterest over another thing. But sometimes I think it might be better if we limit their choices down and rotate through those choices until we figure out what our audience is using the most. If they really like one of those things, they'll find a way to use it. The new browsers, and on the iPhone at least, make it easy to share to your own things regardless of what button's on a site. So, you might want to, at some point in the future, we might want to find some way to, only show the Twitter button and put in that call to action. Please tweet this out on Twitter. And that's it. And then the next person that sees it, they might see something that says, please share this on Facebook. And the next person that sees it might say, please share this with your LinkedIn connections or something like that. But that way you don't need that single.
Yeah, with the designs that templates that we have now, being able to assign a different template to the page, you could have a different template when it's a video post as opposed to a photo post, as opposed to just text. And that has a lot to do with where you want people to share it. Do you want some discussion? Then feature to get people to leave the comments there. If you want them social sharing, for sure. The better I get at social sharing and putting those buttons on my blog, the less comments I get. I also do some work with in the Empire Avenue game, and you pay them off in the game. It's a in-game bribe kind of thing to go and look at something. And when it's the right kind of topic, for instance, these people are playing a stock market simulation game, I say, well, great, go take a look at this business article or how to use social media article. In my case, really comes off as an article I want them to share because I know their networks are the kind of people I want to reach anyway. And so I just point blank tell them, if I say go and share this wherever you can, I get less response than if I say I'd like to see somebody +1 this on Google. And they love that one. That currently is a favorite because it's so easy to click the +1 and be done. And that gets into whether or not that's an incentive. We'll leave that for another topic, another day. But the research on it that I'm finding is when I'm sending people there who expressly are there to share things, they get confused very easily, even if that's, what they're doing is part of another game. So, something to pay attention to and keep on trying. And we'll have to do another one of these when I get a better response from Dig or whatever comes next.
Yeah.
Look for it.
Next. All right.
Come back, subscribe to our channel, leave comments, and share this.
Yep. And do let us know if you found a better social sharing plugin out there that we haven't mentioned, because there's always a new one coming up.